For today's story time, we will be reading out of Maximize Your Potential Through the Power of Your Subconscious Mind to Develop Self-Confidence and Self-Esteem, written by Dr. Joseph Murphy. So I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs and then we're going to break those paragraphs down. Each paragraph is a different story. And we're going to break those stories down and explain what do they mean, not only in this story, in the passage, but what do it mean in our lives also. I recently talked with Mary, a woman employed in a large office. 5 o'clock was quitting time, but her coworkers regularly asked her to stay late to complete their task. One would say, "Mary, I have an appointment with the chiropractor. Will you finish these letters for me?" Another would tell her that she had an appointment with the dentist or doctor and needed to leave early. And someone else would claim that she had to go to the airport to meet relatives, and so on. She agreed to take on all their work, even though she deeply resented it. Mary had to learn to say no. She finally realized that these selfish people were pulling the wool over her eyes, taking advantage of her, pushing her around, and laughing at her behind her back. She therefore decided to make plans for herself after work, and when her colleagues asked her to stay overtime, she told them that it was impossible because she had to keep her own appointments. From that point on, she no longer allowed other people to take advantage of her. It's wrong to let others manipulate you or steal from you. Learn to say no to everything that's false. Now, this is very crucial, and you may not be having the same problem as Mary had with coworkers, but how much of your time are you giving to other people instead of telling them no? How much of your time when you know there's something you do not want to do and you make up a lie or an excuse to why you don't want to do it instead of just telling them no? No, thank you. I'm okay. I want to do this. And this is something that is very powerful. The power of the word no. No is something that frees us. So just to give you an example, today while I was just out having breakfast, and one of the things I like to do is I do like to eat outside sitting down. I like being around nature while I'm eating. And one of the things that is a big pet peeve of mine, especially when I'm eating outside, is when people are coming up begging me. It is something I do not like. It takes away from my happiness. And my happiness is more important than that person's happiness. Because if their happiness was more important to them, they wouldn't be in the situation to disturbing my happiness. And that's just a thought pattern and a mindset that I have now that I've built over the years. And so when they came up to me and asked me for money, I just told them no. And I went back to my business. No is a complete sentence. No is a fulfilling statement. When you say no, you don't have anything else. You don't owe anybody anything after that. The answer is no. Move on. Go to the next person. And that is something that you have to start practicing. Are you willing to say no to people? And now let's go to the next story. A woman told me that she babysat her grandchild 3 nights a week, neglecting her own children and even her husband. Her son and daughter-in-law came home at 1 or 2 o'clock in the mornings, usually drunk. They gave her no thanks and showed no appreciation. Yet she believed that she had an obligation to take care of the toddler. I explained to her that it was morally and spiritually wrong for her to contribute to their selfishness, boorishness, and delinquency, and that she needed to put her husband and family first. I suggested that the next time her son asked her to babysit, she should emphatically say no. Get a babysitter and pay her to do it. She did this, and from then on, her son and daughter-in-law had far more respect for her and no longer took advantage of her. Now, this is something that's very powerful. A lot of times we want and we expect people to give us respect, but we don't respect our own personal boundaries. We give ourselves these obligations, these duties, these must-dos as if it's our burden to carry the weight of the world. Other people's responsibilities are their responsibilities. Your responsibilities are yours. This is one of the biggest misconceptions in the world. Whenever you hear someone like, oh, the rich stealing from the poor, the rich just get richer, it is not their job to look after the poor. Their job is to look after their family, their corporations, their business. Like, I'm a businessman myself and I have several different companies online. My job is to look after those companies. My job is to make sure those companies are operating in black. How far can I get them into profit? Is it time to scale? Is it time to sell? How can I improve in investments? How can I make more passive income for my life? Because I'm so focused on those things, I don't have time for other people's problems. And I tell people straight up, like, no. And it goes back to the first story. Learn to say no. No is a word that also gives you respect. When you start saying no to people, people respect you. Like, I'd say no to people all the time when somebody like, hey, do you want to go out for a drink? No. Or if a young lady be like, hey, can we go have drinks? No, I do not drink. So I'm not going to participate in that behavior. And so set no. So learn how to set set your standards with the word no. And the reason why I say set your standards is, as you start learning the things you don't want to do in life and say no to them instead of obligating yourself to doing them, you're going to start raising your actual standard of life, meaning your quality of life is going to get better. Your monetary life is going to start getting better because you're going to start seeing you're not circulating money to areas that you didn't even want to go to in the first place. And just think about it. When was the last time you maybe went out or with some friends or family to a restaurant or something, place you know you didn't want to go? And then were you happy at the end of it, at the end of the day? Or were you like, man, that money would have been better looking at my bank account? Like, we have to start realizing it's our life. All you have to do is say no. And so I hope you like these two stories from the book. And this is from, again, Maximize Your Potential Through the Power of Your Subconscious Mind to Develop Self-Confidence and Self-Esteem by Dr. Joseph Murphy.